Welcome back, my friends. Blackendrose here with more stuff on Cultist Simulator. Now, what I'm going to do here, I was thinking of explaining Manzeus a bit more, but there are a couple of things I need to do before I can get to that, really get into the meat of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain one of the more important aspects of this, expeditions. Now, before we get started, I need to do a little bit of cleaning up because something needs to. There we go. Right. Now, what we're going to do is, I told you in the episode on lore on how to acquire expeditions, but as a quick refresher, simply drag one of these occult histories into the explore icon, and you can find expedition locations. There are several unique ones for each level of occult history. After which you exhaust those, there is a generic one that will just be repeatable. So you never have to worry about running out of expeditions. As for progressing forwards, what we need to do is actually go on an expedition. Now, as I said in the lore video, it's generally good to be able to summon before you progress too much further into this. And that becomes very important because expeditions is a means to actually lose cultists. So here's how an expedition runs. What we do is we drag our expedition card up here and we set up for the expedition. So we can put 2 people in the expedition to start with, more can be added later, and we can put funds in as well. The funds will keep the expedition going. So I tend to use summons for this, partly because summons are replaceable, but also summons tend to be stronger than your regular cultists. If I'm going to somewhere that I've never been before, or I'm unsure what's going to happen, I tend to put 1 person and 1 fund, because what happens is that there are challenges to overcome within these expeditions. I had to think for a moment there. So what we'll do is we'll send that off. You add more as the expedition progresses, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Okay, so expedition continues. Now we can see what kind of challenges we're going to be facing, and we are going to be facing this one, which requires forge or lantern. That's a problem, because we don't have anyone in the expedition capable of doing that. I don't really think we have much in the way of anything that can really help out with that. But what we can do is we'll send this person because they have lantern aspect. The real trouble is going to come in a little bit. But let's see, what is fleeting memory? Moth. I'm pretty sure there's something I can do with this. Moth. I'm just trying to think about this. There we go. I can do a summon with that. Now what we're going to do is hopefully, and I stress the term hopefully. Okay, that's not a lot of use to me. That might be useful. Okay, so here's the situation we're in. The challenge that we have ahead of us in the very basic expeditions, there's generally only 1 challenge. As you move up, more and more challenges can occur. You will require generally 1 of 2, sometimes 1 of 3 aspects to be part of the expedition. Now, the Voiceless Dead that we sent had Winter and it had Moth. We needed Forge or Lantern to overcome this challenge. If we fail to overcome the challenge, then we are held back. Plus, it can also mean that people start dying. So this is why it's very important to know what you're doing when it comes to expeditions. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send another person with Lantern. Basically, if you have an aspect level of 10 when facing a challenge, then you are guaranteed to succeed. Anything below that, and it basically works to a percentage. So as we can see here, by putting these two people in, we have a lantern aspect of 4. This basically means that I have a 40% chance of passing this challenge. And I can't do much more about that because I have no one of lantern or forge that has the necessary aspect level to really help out with that. So that's just unfortunate. But that's why I tend to only put one fund and one person. If there's a challenge that I have no chance of defeating, the expedition can just fail, the expedition card comes back, and I can just try again later without wasting too much in funds. And it looks like I failed. Yeah, so that failed, unfortunately. And we'll find out soon if I'm going to lose someone. This is just the nature of expeditions. It's luck of the draw, to a degree. Once you start getting the more powerful summons, it just becomes a cakewalk. Yeah, someone's dying. We're losing someone. So that's a real shame. And the summon we were doing failed. So it just put up a lurking devourer, which is a real pain. So everything's sort of falling apart around me at the moment. That's lovely. What can I do with dread? Can I do anything with that? I'd need more lantern for that. I need 6 lantern to summon that. I remember what I'm summoning there. What can I do anything with this? I think contentment can be used for a summon. If I put winter in there. Yeah, I can summon another voiceless dead. You can summon as many things as you like unless they are unique. Okay, what did I lose? Oh, I lost my voiceless dead. We'll give it another crack. See how it goes. Right, that generally the lurking devourer just occupies something for a time, but it doesn't actually tend to kill anything. So it's one of those things of it's a pain to deal with, but oh well. So generally it's better just to attempt using passion for a summon and just attempt the summon anyway. Okay, so they are going to make another attempt with a 40% chance. And we improved the knock law, which is very useful to me. Now, I'm going to improve it again because I believe it is necessary for the next stage in Manzus. Anyway, we'll see how the expedition goes. Oh, looks like this summon is trying to break free again. And the expedition, it failed again. Well, lovely. If no one's dying, then I might try again. Actually, no, I might have to. Oh damn it! Someone's dying. I can't afford to lose more people. And the summon broke out again. This is really going badly for me at the moment. Everything's going wrong. The thing is, I'm burning funds going on expeditions. Summons are failing. Funds are dwindling. This is where the luck element comes in. But there's only so much you can do. Sometimes you'll just get unlucky. Okay, we gained the next level of knock. Rightio. Now, unfortunately, the expedition failed on us, and oh god, we're reaching a game over state. Everything's going wrong at the moment. Everything's going very badly for me. My funds are low. And I'm going to need more funds because we're reaching a game over state. And I'm about to get sick as well. So everything's going very badly at the moment. But we know that in order to complete this challenge, we need lantern. That's why it's very useful to send a summon on those, because you can just re-summon anything that's lost. Yeah, this is a game over state. There are 3 dreads in there. If I didn't have any contentment to put up, then that would basically lead me to a game over. Which is obviously very bad for me. But what I'm going to have to do is I'm now going to have to spend time trying to get all this together. Because everything is basically falling apart on me. Before I can go on another expedition, I need to get all this under control. Because I think I sort of left things to roam a little bit, trying to explain half of these things. And now I've left myself in a very bad position. And what I can do is auction off one of these things. And that'll get me some extra funds. But I think what I might have to do is I might have to pause the episode here and return to this once I get some funds together. So, back in a minute, fellas. Hello, back again. Right, okay, I've done a bit of work, I've got some funds together, and I've prepared this ritual. Summon a sharp-edged lantern thing. Now, this will be useful to me because I can summon something that will help me get past the obstacle up ahead. I've also worked on improving some other aspects so that I can perform summons easier. And that's the main benefit of getting the lore built up and getting some good strong ones together, because you can then use them in performing summons and rituals and all the like. Okay, we have now summoned our sharp-edged thing. Now, what else do we have here? I think I can make use of this, because I can get. This is a good way of getting rid of fascination from the board, is by using it in rituals. So, if I put this into here, and I think if I put knock in there and some grail, yep, I can summon an aspect of the grail. Okay, now, as for the challenge ahead, let's put the hint, which has 8 lantern and 8 edge, and I believe we still have someone who survived the last trial. Who was it? Come on, where are you? You had aspect of lantern. There you are. We'll put you in there as well, because that gives us a lantern power of 10. Which will mean that the expedition should succeed without any problems at all. Which is excellent. So we'll just let that tick down. And what do we have here? Oh look! Yeah, it's the same challenge. Requires forge or lantern. We have a lantern power of 10. So, just let that continue on. We have this other ritual going on. And the ritual was successful. We summoned a raw prophet. And I'm going to throw that in the expedition so it stops it from timing down. In the meantime, I'm going to start working on some of these commissions. And I think, what does it want? Reason. Okay, reason. And go. So everything's looking quite nice at the moment. We're making use of summoned entities. Yep, and the challenge was successful. And since that was the only challenge, it moves on to the reward. The treasure lies before us. And the commission was completed. So this is what I tend to do with commissions, is I line them up with whoever asked for it. So let's put this in, excuse me, and fulfill the commission. This one is very substantial for the Grail. The most that is ever required for a commission is a power of 6, which is a substantial effort. Oh, this one wants passion as well. So in we go. and that gave us a splinter. But it also gave us some mystique. Now, here we are going to have another problem showing up. And that problem is thus. This hunter is activated. Once this finishes, this expedition, notoriety will be gained. And it's just gone straight to the hunter. So the hunter has now acquired some notoriety on us, which means that it will almost certainly produce evidence. However, this allows me to show another aspect of this game. And I just dumped a lot of that, so I apologise for that. We gained a pigment, which is used in painting. We gained an item, which can be used in rituals. I believe this can also be used as a poison. Oh, it says it's a pigment, but I believe it qualifies as a poison as well. You can use poison on the hunter, although I don't tend to use it because items are much more valuable. And we have the raw profit and the hint have returned back to us. And we have a new book. What language is that in? Sanskrit. So let's translate that. And that's basically how expeditions work. You send your team out. You send some funds out with it. You overcome the challenges based on the strength of the aspect that you're applying to it. And then if you overcome the challenges, you get the treasure. If you don't, then the expedition either goes on or you lose people. That's why it's always a good idea to try and use summons only on those things and just top them up with other people. Now, this is likely to produce evidence, but it will give me an opportunity to show one of the things you can do with evidence, because I actually have something that can do something about it. Right, we just have to wait for a little bit. And gain some funds. Right. So, okay, and the hunter has created tentative evidence. But, if we take someone that has moth aspects, and it has to be moth, and then put the evidence in there, send a devious minion to destroy evidence. Now, the chance of success is based entirely on the aspect in use. And if it's 10, which I think you'd have to have a very specific cult to have that, because no monster has an aspect of 10 moth. And it will attempt to destroy the evidence. And I'm going to put that hint to search the city, because it means it's not timing down. And we gain two things from that, a new ritual and a level 6 edge aspect. You can only have one of each kind of ritual, so if you end up with getting the same ritual again, it will destroy the previous card and retain the new one. So you can only have one of a unique card. Furthermore, there are three unique summons in the game, which you can only have one of. And there's a reason I'm doing this with the hint, and I will explain that once the work slot opens up. Because there is a neat little trick you can do with some summoned entities. Not all of them, but some of them. No, my clicking's dropping off. I won't do another expedition in this video because I've already indicated how to do them. And my monster tampered with the record and has destroyed the evidence. Now, it's very risky destroying evidence because if your monster fails, your monster could disappear, could basically be killed off, and the evidence remains and notoriety is generated, which means that you could end up creating a bigger problem for yourself. It's one of those things that if you feel confident, give it a try, but if you're in a bad situation and you don't want to risk more problems, just let the evidence time down. It is generally better to let the evidence time down if you can. If you can't, then just take the chance. It's not worth taking the risk sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to wait for a little bit, which is a little bit risky, but I have means to get around this. Actually, I think I can do this with this this monster. Let me just see. Yes, I can. Okay, there are some monsters in this game that, through their own aspects, they actually make up the majority of the constitute parts that are required to summon them. So what you can do is, by using this particular ritual, the Rite of the Crucible Soul, put the monster in as the offering, and then just add the required amount of knock to it, and it acts as like a resummon. Obviously it comes with risk, because if the resummon fails, then the monster will get away. But it's quite useful if you don't have the means to resummon the monster again, and you just want to keep the monster going. I call it monster, but it's not really a monster, it's just a summon. Right, what I need to do... Actually, I can't do it at the moment because Explore is taken up. I'm a bit of an idiot. Okay, and the resummon was successful, and it resets the timer on that particular monster, which is very, very useful. I'm going to put you in speak so that you don't burn down, or don't burn out. Okay, I need to deal with this illness, because otherwise I will lose health. Right, we'll do the same with the hint, because that is another monster that can go through this ritual. And then once we get those things together, I'm going to set up another expedition, and then I will leave the episode there. But so far, I hope this has explained the fundamentals of how to play this game, because we're now getting into the more advanced stuff. Once you start going on expeditions, you're reaching the mid to late game stage of things. And I will do one video explaining Manzus, how to progress in that, and then I will be moving on to explaining how to actually beat the game, which is something I haven't been explaining thus far. Once you start getting onto the end game side of things, that's when it starts getting dangerous. You have to start doing very dangerous things, and that's when problems start happening, because you're trying to keep the authorities off your back, but you're having to do more and more overt things. So what I will do is I'll grab this, and I will put the hint and the raw profit in there, because this gives me a nice balance of various aspects. There's every possibility that the expedition won't use any one of those aspects, but using summoned monsters is generally better for that. When you start getting into the more powerful ones, or the ones that are known as the nameless ones, of which there are 3 of them, they have strength up the wazoo, but they require very specific circumstances, which is really just having lots of aspect in their primary element. But if I get a chance, I'll do a little video on how to do that. But for the time being, thank you so much for watching. This has been explaining how to do expeditions and a few little handy tips. I hope you've enjoyed this video and hope you've enjoyed this series. I'm Blackendrose, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, my friends. Bye bye.